Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Trust EVM Twitter space today. I'm Bill, the host of today's event. And as the first Twitter space of Trust EVM, we will discuss how will Trust achieve the fastest EVM. And in the future, we will have more Twitter space to discuss and share the latest Trust EVM progress. Today, we are really glad to have two speakers here. Mr. Matias, the leader of EVM Plus technical team, and Mr. Esteban, the leader of TrustSwap built on Trust EVM. Also, welcome all the audience coming today. We prepare some great benefits for you. And follow the official account of Trust EVM on Twitter, retweet the event tweet and text reference. 20 people will be rewarded by 5 EOS. Also, comment your thoughts for Trust EVM in the event tweet during this AMA. We will choose 5 people to get 10 EOS. And in the Q&A section, it will be at the last part of the space. People who ask the question will get 10 EOS. Okay, let's start our space now. Welcome Mr. Matias, the leader of EVM Plus technical team, to introduce the current progress of Trust EVM testnet and what's our next step and how will Trust achieve the fastest EVM. Matias, please.
Hi everyone. Thanks for joining today on this Twitter space. Well, the idea of this space is to talk about how developing is going, talk about the current testnet implementation and the next one that we are soon to release, and talk about some other details about how we are trying to have the fastest EVM possible on top of EOS. So basically, on this session, I will be talking about the existing architecture of the testnet, some of the limitations that we found, and how we will address them on the next release. Talk about a little bit of Silkworm. That is some project that we are integrating into Trust EVM, and the new protocol features that are coming in the next Mandel release. Well, as you may already know, at the beginning of the project, we have two options about how to implement this compatibility layer on top of EOS, how to implement Trust EVM. So one option was to implement it natively on Node.js, and the other one was to have a smart contract, a regular contract on EOS. Well, we knew that native was more performant, since even if the runtime of EOS is pretty fast, native is still faster, but it's less flexible, since when a new EVM version comes out, it forces all the node operators to update the software. So we decided to go the smart contract route, right? Knowing also that the WebAssembly runtime of EOS has a pretty good performance, and also it gives us more flexibility, since, as you already know, EOS contracts can be updated with newer versions. Okay, so this is the path we take. We developed a C++ smart contract. Basically, we integrated EVM1. EVM1 is a fast Ethereum virtual machine implementation in C++, and the codebase of EVM1 is optimized to provide fast and efficient execution of EVM smart contracts. But supporting EVM, the runtime is not only that. It's not only having an EVM compatibility layer. Is not only having the runtime ready. Developers need a way to access the current state and also querying for history. So this is where the Web3 JSON RPC comes in. Every Ethereum client implements a JSON RPC specification. There are a uniform set of methods that applications can rely to query for state information, to send transactions, etc. And since the state of the EVM, as is a smart contract, is persisted inside the EOS state, one possible solution that we thought was to map every JSON RPC request to a query of the EOS state of the EVM contract. But it's not that simple, because there are some specific calls on the JSON RPC specification that need access to historical state, right? For instance, you can query, like, I want to know what the storage of this contract at this position was, not at the head block at the current state, but in the past. Or also you can query a specific balance of an account, also historically, or you can execute a transaction and see the traces, but you can execute that transaction also at an arbitrary block height. Um, so what we decided for this release of the testnet was to use a regular Ethereum client to serve those JSON RPC requests. So basically, what we are doing right now is we have the EVM runtime contract on the chain, and after the transactions are executed on chain, we extract them from the EOS blockchain, from the Jungle blockchain in this case, once they have been applied, and we feed them to an Ethereum client using the peer-to-peer wire protocol. So basically, we have a geth node, the, one of the regular Ethereum clients, that is receiving all the transactions that has been applied into the EVM contract on the EOS blockchain, on the Jungle blockchain. Um, and, and this works pretty good, but we have some limitations with that design. Um, so to simplify the architecture that we have right now on Trust EVM, which is running on Jungle for testnet, is we have the smart contract, which is the C++ contract using EVM1. We have a separate service. We call them we call it the translator service that extract the transactions from the blockchain and feed them to a geth node. This geth node is the one that exposes the JSON RPC interface to the world, basically the one that you are using uh, when when connecting with MetaMask. Basically, you are pointing to one of those Ethereum nodes. And then we have, well, a TX wrapper that basically handles the incoming transactions and wraps that transaction into an EOSIO TX transactions and push it to the blockchain, to the runtime contract. As I was saying, even though the architecture works fine, it has many moving parts. So we started thinking about having a simpler and more integrated, from the perspective of a node operator, like a more integrated setup. And this is where the previous design of the of EOSIO comes really handy. One of the cool features of the EOS node program is that it was built using AppBase. AppBase is a library that provides a basic framework for building applications from a set of plugins. AppBase manages the plugin lifecycle and ensures that all plugins are configured, initialized, started, and shut down in the proper order. So basically, you can construct an application that it comes from a set of plugins. So basically, we can extend the functionality of the EOS node by writing a custom plugin that later a node operator can choose to enable or not at the moment of running his node. Okay, this is part number one, the thing that we can extend the EOS node functionality by writing a custom C++ plugin. Uh, in fact, today there are many plugins, each one of them addressing a specific purpose on the EOS node. And on the other hand, there is Silkworm. Silkworm, as many of you know, is a C++ implementation of the Ethereum protocol written from scratch that is based on the Erigon architecture. They are aiming to be the fastest Ethereum client while maintaining a high quality of readability of its source code. So it's a pretty awesome project that it's having a lot of attention right now. So, since the EOS node can be extended using plugins and we have an Ethereum C++ client implementation that is heavily focused on efficiency, we decided to create a plugin for Node.js using Silkworm that will be the responsible for serving the JSON RPC request to the EVM. So now, when this plugin is ready, if you want to run your own Trust EVM node, you will just need to run the official EOS node with just this new plugin enabled. And you will be able to serve JSON RPC requests, or that you can use it for development purposes, or to join a testnet, or to join mainnet, or any other type of configuration that uses it. So this simplifies, from our perspective, this simplifies a lot from the previous architecture, since all the necessary functionality will be bundled together in the same EOS node. Also, if you think about like exchanges that wanted to list some token that it's on top of Trust EVM, we also think in the operations problems that having many moving parts for a specific deployment can have for the DevOps team. So having just one node with a known configuration, we think it's just a better architecture from the one that we have. So this is where we are going. And last but not least, I want to talk about the Mandel new protocol features. Okay, there are new protocol features in Mandel. For those of you who don't know, Mandel is the upcoming version of the official EOS node that will help us the execution of the EVM runtime. There are special kind of contracts that are bundled within the EVM at fixed addresses. That they offer a set of advanced functionalities that are quite expensive in terms of computation time. Most of these functionalities were already supported on EOS, like hashes and key recovery algorithms. So the EVM runtime contract is just using them, linking to them, and using these specialized functions. But some others were not there. So we we had to implement them at WebAssembly level instead of having a native implementation of those precompiled constructs. But the EOS.io protocol has a pretty nice feature that it can be extended by adding new protocol features that block producers can activate at their will. So we have submitted two new protocol features to the official EOS node that will have this new native function. Will add new native functions to the EOS.io protocol that will help speed up the calls to the Ethereum precompiled contracts that are bundled in the EVM. The Mandel release 3.1 RC1 have all these new features integrated and is started to be deployed on Jungle 4 testnet. So as soon as VPs update to the newer version and these protocol features are activated, the EVM runtime will start using them. So I think that we will have like a pretty nice combination between flexibility in terms of being able to keep up with the updates on the EVM, since we have the EVM implemented at smart contract level. But the things that are expensive in computation time, the Ethereum precompiled contracts, will be EOS.io intrinsics supported in these new protocol features. And for the RPC part, having this new Silkworm plugin integrated into the mainline EOS node will make life pretty much much easier to node operators that want to run a trust node, a trust EVM node. So well, this is the update on my side. We are pretty excited to be releasing this new testnet as soon as we can. And well, whatever question you may have, you can ask it at the end. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Matias. I think everyone knows more about EVM potential now. I also have exciting news to share. And Trust EVM will be the title sponsor at Token 2049 Singapore, and the Trust EVM team will also be present. You are really welcome to meet and talk with us there. Okay, next let's welcome Mr. Esteban, the leader of TrustSwap, and he will share some information about TrustSwap and why build it on Trust EVM. Also, he got a grant from EOS Network Foundation. He could share some experience about the grant. After Esteban's sharing, it will be Q&A session. Okay, Esteban, you could start now.
Okay, so hello everyone, and thank you for the invitation. So I think the best way for me to tell you what TrustSwap is to tell you a little bit about how we got started and why we decided to build a TrustSwap on Trust EVM. So I was checking the news not long ago, and I got across this news about a new EVM and got my attention. And I was very curious because there was some interesting information of how we work, how we was connected, some technical decisions around it that got my attention. So then I said, okay, I'm gonna test this and see what is it about. So then I went and configured it, and a few minutes later I had some coins from the faucet, and it was working really well. And then I said, okay, I'll give a try deploying some Solidity contracts, so I tried. I think the first contract I tried, it was a token contract, and it was working really fast, very easy, and it got my attention how fast it was. I had worked before in other EVMs, Ethereum and Binance and so and so, and it just got my attention how fast this EVM was. I was like, what is this? How are they able to make it work so fast? So that was really interesting, and so I said, okay, I'll do another thing. I'll try these other contracts and start testing a few contracts, and everything was just working, and it was working well. There was no problems with compatibility. Everything just worked. So I started to go deeper into EOS and joined the community and started to share with the community all these things that I'm doing. I'm like, hey guys, I deployed these contracts and looks very interesting. And the community was very responsive. It was like, yes, we're doing this, we're doing that. Why don't you try this? Why do you try that? So I started doing that. I started testing more contracts and getting feedback from the community. And then we started this circle of information, and then I start seeing this community that was well organized, that had all these projects, that had all these ideas and all these things going, and that got my attention. So I said, wow, this is a really great community to build on. So they have this great community and they have this great platform. So I should try to go beyond the test and try something more challenging. So the next thing I did was, okay, I'm gonna deploy the basic infrastructure contracts, and I tested deploying. I think it was multi-cal contract, and I tried deploying rapid EOS contract, and everything just worked. So I say, okay, I'm gonna deploy something even more challenging. So I then took the code from Uniswap and put it together, and very easily it was working like magic. It was working, but it was working fast. It was just, when we do a swap on Trust EVM, it's just like lightning. So the user experience for it's so good that it's just gonna get a lot of attention from users. So I said, I have to have to build something. I have to create something and become part of this community. And the community was very welcoming. So I said, okay, I have deployed this, and people started testing it and trying it and giving me feedback. And the next step was, well, I want to build a company around this infrastructure. I want to build a company around this community. So then I was looking for, okay, but how do we found it? We need some resources, we need some guidelines, we need a way to make this happen. And so we were directed to the ENF grant and Pomelo, and then we say, okay, we're gonna apply for an ENF grant, and the process was extremely easy, and it's so well organized. Basically, there is this GitHub repository that you will you clone, and then inside the clone, the code or the text there's a basic layout of information you fill, and then you create a pull request with it, and that's it. It's very, very easy. It's very, very simple. We send an outline of our project, and it was reviewed by the ENF Foundation, and then we got a little feedback, and a little time later, we were funded. We have now the funds, and we have the backing and the support to create something extremely good on top of Trust EVM. So that's what we're doing, and that was the start of TrustSwap. So I want to extend a little bit of what this how was TrustSwap started. It's a swapping service, but we want to take it further. We want to solve an important thing in the ecosystem, and that's being able to show you what is cool inside the ecosystem, right? What are the new projects and their tokens that are going up and that should get attention from the community, and what things are probably cooling down and shouldn't have so much attention. So that's what we're trying to do. We're creating this service on top of Trust EVM with an amazing user experience. Lets you quickly swap tokens for very, very, very low fees, and at the same time give you this information of what's cool, what's the next big project, what is the next token that you might want to get before the price goes up, or what project probably is cooling down a little bit and maybe it's time to sell. So Trust EVM allows us to create these things, and this compatibility layer. It's extremely important to have this compatibility layer, because then you're not closer to the other networks. You're able to reach further. You're able to bring value in, and you're able to export your ideas, your products. So say someone creates a project inside the EOS ecosystem, and that project contains a token. It's probably a really great idea that token, that project becomes available further and gets access to more liquidity and more people. So that's why this compatibility layer is so important, and it's just it's so important that we build on top of it. So that's a little bit of Trust Swap and what we're doing. The idea of not just staying with the basic swap service, but also adding this layer of being able to discover what is cool and what's hot, what's cooling down, and being able to make your choice, to have a broad list of options of tokens, and being able to select from those options. So that's what we have now. But we see further, and we want to take this beyond what has already been done. These are not new ideas, but we're empowering these ideas because we have this solid foundation, a really fast, scalable, compatible EVM that we can build on top of. So we're bringing, and there's just a broad number of contracts and ideas that can just be easily ported into Trust EVM. The compatibility is great. It means that you can just take these other ideas and bring them and improve them, because you have this quick finality, quick blocks, and that just improves the user experience so much. At the beginning, we have these 10 minutes blocks on Bitcoin, and then when Ethereum came and had this 15-second block, it felt so fast. But nowadays, paying hundreds of dollars on Ethereum for a transaction and having to wait 15 seconds, 20 seconds, it doesn't feel so good. So we have this new platform where we can have really, really fast blocks. You just click and swap is done, and you paid, very, very, very small fees. And then we want to take it further. So this is really cool. I want to share with everyone some ideas that go beyond what is available today, and it goes into what we can build, what this platform allows us to build. So we had coins. That's how this crypto revolution started, right? We had coins, and then we have coins like Bitcoin and Litecoin and EOS, and then we have tokens like USDT and a plethora of tokens. And newer ideas came later, like NFTs, not fungible tokens. Like each token is different from the next one. So I want to tell you about the next thing. What comes next? What's going to be the next big thing in crypto? And there's Vitalik Buterin. He sees the future. He sees the future, and he talks about this new idea called soulbound tokens. Soulbound tokens. So what are soulbound tokens? The crazy thing is that soulbound tokens is something that already existed in EOS before. Soulbound tokens, at its core, it's about identity. It's about identity. So let's explore a little bit what is soulbound tokens. So soulbound tokens are these tokens, that are given to you, and once you receive them, you cannot send them away. They're just part of your private key or public key. You receive this and you cannot send it away. So how is this usable? I said at its core, soulbound tokens, it's about identity, right? So if you receive a soulbound token from a registration company, from an identity company, that company is certifying that you say that you are who it says you are, right? It's not like you're not a bot, you're not a sock puppet. You are who you say you are. So you solve this idea. You solve this problem of social networks having lots of spam bots or bots or whatever, because now with your soulbound token and your certification, there's no way that there's a filter there for bots, right? So soulbound tokens are this idea that makes it possible for identities to be real, to stop bots, to stop spam accounts. But it doesn't stop. It doesn't end at identification or identity of people. It goes way, 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 way beyond identities. So for example, not only people can have identities, but anything else can have an identity. A car, for instance, a car might have an identity, right? So that car has got its digital identity, and it might receive a special soulbound token that allows it to park in certain parking spaces, right? That's a soulbound token, and it's applied to that car or to the person that drives that car. Maybe that person has got a disability, right? So a certification company then creates this soulbound token and gives it to this person. So this person is now able to drive his car into this special place in the city. Or a company might be doing great reducing his carbon footprint, right? A company or a service might provide a soulbound token to this company, to the identity of this company. So for example, they now can receive they need to pay lower taxes. And so we can apply this idea of soulbound tokens to lots of things, not just people, but things, cars, companies, cities, parks, anything can receive a soulbound token. And so you have this immense domain of things receiving digital identities and properties. And then we can start connecting these ideas, how they are related. For example, you go to a restaurant, right? and you provide a review to the restaurant. That review is a soulbound token. And because it came from a person that's got a soulbound token, which verifies a real person identity, you know that that review is true. You know, it's not someone that paid to get a review, but that review comes from a real person, not from 100 bots, not from 100 spam accounts or whatever, but from a real person. So this is just the very, very top of the a very small part of what soulbound tokens are. And it just happens that Trust EVM is the perfect infrastructure, and EOS is the perfect infrastructure to build all these new ideas. So we don't want to stop on what has been done already. We want to innovate. We want to create, and we can do that. Thank you to the help of the EOS community and the infrastructure that they are creating, that we can bring these ideas to life and hopefully use them to have a powerful impact and improve things in this world. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Esteban. I think your sharing is very inspiring to others who want to build on Trust EVM. And next, our last part is Q&A, and questioners will get 10 EOS rewards. So let's invite some audience to ask the questions to our speakers. And please click the request button on the screen and raise your hand to ask questions. And who want to be the first one?
I want to know, how did Esteban find himself in the Trust EVM community? What information or draw led him to where he's at today?
Okay, so there was, I think it was a Twitter. It was some Twitter posts, and then it got my attention because it talked about this new EVM testnet. So that was the first thing. I saw the tweet, and then I went into some website and saw the information and decided to test it. That was the first thing. Just seeing that tweet and deciding to test the EVM, and then starting to interact with the community as a result of the test that came after that that tweet. I started to interact with the community and to see support and to see a well-organized community that directed me into the EOS Foundation. And then the EOS Foundation had also extremely well-organized way to fund projects. And we applied to the project, we got the funding, and it was a straightforward process. So you have this well-organized community. That's the most important thing, a great community. I mean, you can have great software without a great community, you know, you probably won't go further. So you had this great community, and then you have this extremely good software. It's fast, it's compatible, it's easy to work on. And then you have this foundation guiding you and supporting you. So it's like you have all these elements that just make possible for a developer to say, okay, I want to build here. I want to build my ideas here. I want to bring my ideas here and create these amazing things because I have the support. I have a great community just helping me test and giving me ideas. And I have this infrastructure that just works extremely well, that is fast, that is scalable, that is stable. And then you have this organization that's just supporting you, that is guiding you, that's giving you an outline. And all these things just made it possible to move forward with this idea.
Well, you know, that's interesting because I think as much as you are impressed with our community, I think our community is impressed with you. Because I remember when you first came in the Trust EVM group, I think it was only a few days after it was first created. Right. And Rose was booting you out, and I was like, no, we have a real developer here. And from the very beginning, I've watched you continually build and educate and interact with the community, and it's been really exciting for me to witness that. And I'm so happy to be part of your, you know, what's happening here. It's very exciting for all of us, I think.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for your support.
Okay, thanks, Dr. Wu. And women, can you hear me? You can open your mic now.
I can jump in if she's not unmuting. So Esteban, I was going through your Twitter feed recently, and you brought something up that I haven't heard discussed before, but is a really big deal. And you said on May 20th, you said something interesting about Ethereum and EVMs is that changing block times would be contentious, as it will affect many projects that use blocks to measure token distribution, for example.
Right.
So one of the advantages of the Trust EVM is the half-second block speed. It's out of the box with a very fast block time, whereas other scalable EVMs, Matic, for example, has a 2.1 second block speed, and they're also trying to scale their EVM. So could you elaborate on some of the difficulties of a protocol increasing its block speed and how it would affect DeFi smart contracts and block distribution rewards, because they're typically using blocks as their measurement? Could you kind of simplify that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So once the EVM selects a block time, it is extremely difficult for them to change it. You will not see, or it's very, very unlikely you will see any project, say Ethereum, changing their block time. And the reason is that the way smart contracts measure time, it's by a block time. So for example, a project like Uniswap, it generates a certain number of tokens that it's distributed to the community, and to measure when to distribute these tokens, it is using the block height, right? So every time a certain block or each block changes, then the stakes or the tokens are distributed, right? So the same idea extends to many projects. They use block height, the number of block, as a way to measure time. They don't really use time in most occasions. They just use block height. So when you change it, if you decide, okay, I'm gonna reduce the block time from 15 seconds to 5 seconds, then suddenly you create inflation that was not expected for all these other contracts that just expect you to keep your block time constant. So you create a huge problem for every single project that had already deployed a contract out there, right? You cannot change it. It is extremely difficult. It will be extremely contentious because it would create havoc in all the contracts that have already been deployed. So they're stuck with poor user experience if they have chosen block time that is too high. That is the reason. Hope that helps.
Awesome. Thanks for the explanation. So it kind of future-proofs the Trust EVM because it comes out with the fast blocks. It sounds to me like it'd be very difficult for any existing EVM protocol to kind of catch up in scalability. If it deployed already, it has a mainnet, has contracts deploy, but a slower block speed.
That's exactly right.
Okay, thanks. So, women, you can speak now. Yeah.
Okay, so can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Just want to quickly ask you, what's the state of the Mandel update? And we will have the Mandel update online, and we will have the EVM with the pre-compiled features enabled online. Thank you.
Well, the state of Mandel is the Mandel developers have already released the 3.1 RC1 version, which includes these new protocol features to be used by the EVM contract. And I was looking at the Jungle testnet channel yesterday, and block producers are starting to upgrade their nodes. So with this newer version, and I think that there's a plan to activate those features on the 22 of June. So I think that in a week or in a couple of weeks we will see that the protocol feature activated and the new EVM runtime deployed on Jungle, and yeah, that's the timeline that I have in mind right now.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Sir, Rose, can you hear me? You can
Hey,
open.
yes, I can
Yeah.
hear you. Yeah, I had to flip over to my mobile because I spent 10 minutes trying to find it on the desktop how to ask a question. Just one from my side. I think it's where the rubber really meets the road. What is it going to take for the Solidity Ethereum DApp community to actually start using Trust EVM on EOS? Because that's what it's all about, right? It's all about enticing all of these amazing ideas and amazing dApps that haven't really had a runway or a solid foundation or platform that they can actually use to make all those magical dreams come true of what their dApp is actually meant to be doing. So how hard is it? Like, do we have to go on a drive to go and pull people over? And also on the technical side of things, what do you have to do to your existing Solidity contract in order to make it work? Sorry if there's a whole lot of questions there, but let's just get to the coal face. We want people to use this. What's it going to take?
Right. So I think I can take this one. So from the developer side, from the Solidity side, you don't really have to do much. Everything just works. I believe we're going to have soon 100% RPC compatibility. That means that all these calls that are made to the Solidity contracts are covered. That means that any contract, any single contract that was written in Solidity or in Viper or any other EVM language for Ethereum works just fine in Trust EVM. It's not really much work. And then there's a huge plus, right? When you take these contracts and you make them work on Trust EVM, you improve the user experience a lot. Just this the simple thing of being able to have these fast blocks, and then and being able to maintain the throughput of those fast blocks to be scalable. This already creates a huge incentive for developers to bring in their projects, right? So from tech side, it's covered. There's a great incentive. You have a platform that is fast, that is stable, that is compatible, right? And I think that's the first step. So that's covered. The tech side is covered. But then you have more than that, because that's not enough. You can have a great platform, you can have a great software, but it doesn't really go very far without a community. So then we have this community that is well organized, that have ideas, that want us to support you, to help you test, to direct you. You have things like the Pomelo or the ENF. So all these things just create the incentives for developers to come. And I think they're listening, they're watching, and they're maybe testing the platform, and we will see them start showing their products and their dApps soon. So I think the things are here. Perhaps a little promotion would help make things make it faster. But that's already also happening. So I think EOS it's on its way to become a very, very important player on the EVM side.
Okay, yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
One of the things that I go to quite a few. Obviously, we block producers on the EOS network. I go to quite a few conferences and speak to a lot of other businesses that have actually built their dApp or game or what have you on Ethereum. And and a lot of them have got pretty disheartened about the cost of engagement. For the users to play a fun game, it can cost $1,000 because of all the gas fees. What is like the language? Should I be saying, hey guys, you need to have a look at Trust EVM? It's going to be a small investment on your guys' side, or a small technical outlay on your side, in order to actually move your application over to running your contract on Trust EVM. Should we start having that conversation now? Is it a simple thing, or as they lift the covers, realize that, oh wait, okay, it's one thing putting the contract there, but then it's another thing with our token economic system and all of these different kind of RPC calls that we need, that kind of stuff. I'm just trying to look for like direction here, for the conversations that we have at the coffee.
Right. So I think one way that we can get that attention from not just from the EOS community, but from the whole crypto community is trying to be at the forefront of new ideas, of new things. I mean, it's now extremely easy to port Solidity projects or Ethereum projects or Binance or X projects. You can do it, and you can do it in a few hours. It works really well. It's scalable. It's fast. There's all these good things, but one thing that would generate attention is just, as I said, being at the forefront. What is next? What is that next big thing that is going to be part of the next bull run, or of the next big market push? What are those ideas? What are those projects? And I think that we have this infrastructure that allows to build these new ideas, these new projects. I had mentioned it today. I think soul-bound tokens are really an extraordinary thing, and they're a huge opportunity for developers to create new things, right? So maybe the next big thing is soul-bound tokens. Vitalik talked about it a lot, and I'm sure that beyond the curtains, they are already working on some of these ideas. Soul-bound tokens make possible Web of Trust. So Web of Trust makes possible something like search engines for Web3. When you have all these connections between digital identities, you can also start to create something like search. If you think about it, Google search, it's a web of trust. You have all these websites, and they're connected. And when two websites point to a certain website, that website collects PageRank, right? That's so that was Web of Trust, Web 2, right? On Web 2. And then we have this new possibility, this idea of Web 3 and soul-bound tokens, and all these possibilities, all these things that you can create with them. So I think that if EOS manages to start creating products with these new ideas, and it starts to not only to port things, to port projects, but to innovate, to create things that are new and that are usable and that have a positive impact, then you can have the attention not just of the EOS community, but also from the whole crypto community, right? And then your source is open source, and of course they can just take your ideas and port them, but you can also extend them, extend EOS ideas into other crypto ecosystems, and then just have the right incentives for the users that will otherwise be, I don't know, using Binance or whatever, to come into EOS, because you have these new ideas, you have these new projects that have tokens and you're creating these incentives. People are looking for profits, right? So maybe the biggest profits are going to come in the hands of these new ideas, not what's already out there. I mean, there's a market for NFTs, and there's a lot of success cases for NFTs, there's tokens, and there's coins. So let's go where let's go where the things are going. You know, let's be there first. Let's be the first crypto community to have soul-bound tokens working, and with good ideas, with positive things that are just positive. You know, so I think
totally get your,
that's a solution.
I totally get your train of thought, and I'm totally with you. I suppose from my perspective, for the last 4 years, all I've been trying to do, or all our company EOSphere has been trying to do, is get people to build on EOS.
Right.
Obviously, Ethereum has captured the mainstream and has got all of the investment in people that have built applications and smart contracts. And I think I always saw us launching Trust EVM as trying to capture some of that market by providing these dApps a safe haven, if you will, or a place where everything can actually work. But I get where you're going. It's not just about copying stuff over. It's about showing them the safe haven and a path for a place to innovate on, and we can innovate with them. So no, I get it. I appreciate
innovation. Innovation. I think that's the key. Innovation.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Thank you too.
Thanks, Rose. Thanks, Esteban. So maybe next is Trimboat. Yeah, can you hear me, Trimboat?
Yes, I can. Ross actually took some of my questions, so I wanted to ask an alternative question then. Esteban kind of touched on it, but also a question just for the Trust EVM team. What type of applications do you imagine are possible on Trust EVM that wouldn't be possible or realistic to build elsewhere?
Hey, Matias, maybe you could.
I can take it. I can take this one. Well, I recently ran into a friend that it's like it's doing a it's doing a like a currency, but specifically for our country. Its name is funny, and basically well, he finally deployed on Polygon. He was covered on CNN. The project got some big attention here, but at the time we were talking, he was looking just for the cheapest EVM platform that he can run the project in. He didn't want it to learn a new runtime, but basically he didn't want it to have like $5 per transaction. He was like price sensitive in terms of for his project, right? He needed like a platform, and he said, "Hey, if do you have something like that on EOS already?" He was just looking for the price of a transaction. So I think that a lot of projects that need cheap transactions or affordable transactions for the business model that they have built on top of that are I think that maybe are the first one that can start using Trust EVM, because what has happened with EVM and Solidity in particular is that it's kind of a new standard. A lot of human resources have learned Solidity. You have a lot of libraries, a lot of ecosystem, a lot of company that can audit those kind of technologies and contracts. So, but when you want to start deploying, okay, now we are seeing some competitions on new EVM platforms, but I think that Trust EVM can offer a very specific value proposition, which is like having this efficient layer one and this amount of throughput that the EOS network will provide. I don't want to commit to any number at this point, but I think that we would have a pretty good competitive price for transactions, and that gives us a space to projects that doesn't want to pay like $3 or $1 per transaction or things like that. So I think that the first one that came to my mind are those kinds of projects. Like it's leveraging the power of the EOS network to by adding this new compatibility layer. It's an opportunity for a lot of projects that wants to just a network that runs. And also, I think that it's also important to mention that we have been running like for 4 years without problems. Besides that, the EOS network supports a high throughput of transactions. It's been stable for the last for years. So I think that the value proposition is it's good, but especially beneficial for those kind of projects that I mentioned.
Awesome, thank you.
Thanks, Trimbo, and thanks, Matias. So, Chris, can you hear me?
Yeah. Hey, guys. Great
Hey.
conversation. This is excellent. Just had a question with regards to the soul-bound non-transferable tokens. Do you have any mechanisms in mind that can provide a decentralized solution to guaranteeing an account belongs to unique human?
That's a really great question. So I think how this will work is that there will be entities that will be able to certify who you say you are, and that's not just limited to your name, right? You might have a soulbound token that just certifies that, I don't know, that you're 18 years old, right? So now you have access to a certain website, right? And or you might have a soulbound token to certify that you're able to trade certain type of token that might not be allowed for everyone because of your country or region or something like that. So you will need these organizations, this business that are probably going to be centralized. I really, maybe there's some really interesting ideas inside the user ecosystem of how you can certify someone, you know, but it could be a mixture of the things, you know, just company that certifies that you live in a certain country, and then provides you with a soulbound that says you're from that country, and because you're from that country, you are allowed to trade certain tokens, or you're not allowed to trade certain tokens. You might just imagine a swap, right, where you are not allowed to trade a token if you don't have a very specific soulbound, right? So I'm not sure about what it will be, what solution will be for a fully decentralized way to solve it, because then you're trying to solve a very difficult thing, you know. You're trying to solve, you're solving civil attacks. There's a few ideas. I think we're gonna see a lot of people come out with solutions around this. I don't know. I have seen some video conferences, for example, that will allow you to do such things in a decentralized way. So I guess I don't have exact answer to that, and we will see what happens around that.
Yeah, well, that was a great answer, Esteban. So love having you in the community. You should check out the Eden on EOS DAO or organization within EOS. It basically looks like, it sounds like you could tie an Eden account, which sort of is civil protected due to the way the election mechanism works. And that list of Eden accounts would be maybe one way to provide that decentralized unique human certification. Well, one other total noob question, and I'd just love to hear someone intelligent talk about this. If I'm looking to learn how to code maybe and write a smart contract, is learning Solidity less of a learning curve than, say, learning C++? And I think I'll jump off, and thanks for your time.
Solidity. Well, I will say that starting with Solidity is probably not the best idea, but you will want to start with something like, I don't know, maybe Python, which is much clearer. It's probably easy to learn, but then it's not a huge steep learning curve. You know, the basics are I think that you could write a simple contract in a couple of weeks of study, and there's a lot of material out there available for free that you can use to get started. And then you have all these tools, right? You have all these tools that were built for the EVM ecosystem that you can now use. For example, Remix, or you can deploy a contract using Hardhat or Truffle. And this is not a new technology, right? So there's a lot of material, there's books, there's a lot of things that you can use to get started. I would not recommend someone that does not have any programming background to just jump at once at Solidity, but probably start with something like Python and then moving to Solidity. And then you have this great combination of Python that can be used for the backend services, and Solidity that, of course, you can use as part of the decentralized contracts.
Okay,
awesome.
thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Chris. Yeah. The next one, then, and you should be the last one of the day. Yeah. You can open your mic now.
Okay, great. Matias, you mentioned like an example of a guy who was looking for the lowest cost. That was just kind of part of his business model. Is there a registry or a dashboard or some sort of tracking service that's tracking the lowest cost EVM protocols? And so that's one question. And you also mentioned on like the community and the grant process being quite a big pull to Esteban mentioned that, into coming into the community. What else can the community do to attract, like literally be the open the gates and attract the majority of users into the EVM? Thanks.
Hi, Brandon. Thanks for the question. I don't know of any site that it's tracking the performance of the different EVM platforms. But we have looked at some Dragonfly paper documents, some research that they measure some. Instead of transactions per second, they measure the swaps per second on a regular AMM contract. So basically, that's the metric that we want also to be measured with. And regarding the what you mentioned about how to attract other part of the crypto community, I tend to agree with what Esteban was saying. We need to be innovating, like leading, like exploring new ideas. But since there's been some exploration also in EOS, remember that we came from BitShares, the Bit assets, right? That now it's MakerDAO and things like that, and many interesting projects on EOS. But I think that most of the friction at the time was to learn our new runtime, right? Because the platform, we know that even if it had some rough edge at the beginning, we know for sure that it was pretty performant and it is a good platform. But having to learn a new runtime, having to learn C++ or any other language that can compile to WebAssembly, and thinking that the most optimized libraries are on C++, it's a real high barrier of entry. So now having this compatibility layer, EVM, there's ton of documentation, there's ton of code out there, there's ton of tutorials, there's ton of tools, companies, and also people that know how to maybe not even write a smart contract utility, but to deploy something. So I think that opens up a lot of new possibilities for the Trust EVM platform and for IoT itself. So, but anyway, besides that, I also agree with Esteban, what he's saying, that we need to be bold in the things that we create and things that we propose. Like, sometimes I still thinking that most of the people here, at least in Argentina, talks about DAI and things like that, and the stable coins and things. And I say that came from the region where Dan Larimer was working, right, in BitShares, and we haven't had the ability to keep that innovation and push forward. And I think that part of the soul of the community has that, still having that. So I think that if we like, if we like. If we are able to bring that fire again and having this new compatibility layer, I think that will at least make some developers to try this new platform.
Okay, thanks, Matias. Yeah, and as I think that's enough for today. And thanks, guys, for asking, and thanks for our guest answering. And our AMA is coming to an end now, and don't forget that we have some news for you guys, and all the winners or questioners, please remember to contact our official Twitter account. And thanks everyone for coming today. Thanks, Matias. Thanks, Esteban. And
thank you.
goodbye.
Goodbye. Thank you, everyone.
Goodbye. Bye bye.